Testing, testing. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to BWTM Sports Live. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, leave your comments. We appreciate them. Breaking news coming out of the UK. David, the Haymaker HAYE, has split from HAYE McGuigan. What I've done is, rather than give my 2p piece in first, what I've decided to do this time round is to have a look and see what the media are saying about it. There was some medium sources I could have used: The Sun, The Mirror, Sky Sports, but I thought I'd go with the Daily Mail, to be quite honest, on this one. Says Daily Mail says David HAYE splits from trainer HAYE McGuigan, and this was published at 12:24 p.m. It's about an hour ago. David HAYE split from his trainer HAYE McGuigan. The 36-year-old fighter, currently recovering from Achilles tendon injury suffered in his bout against Tony Bellew in March, announced separation of on his official Facebook page. McGuigan responded on Twitter: "Following reconstructive surgery of my fully ruptured right Achilles tendon, the injury sustained in round 6 of the box office blockbuster against Tony Bellew on March 4th, I'm pleased to confirm rehabilitation is going well and I will make a full recovery. Whilst I am not quite in a position to announce my next opponent, my passion for the sport remains unwavering and desire to regain my heavyweight title is stronger than ever. Since focusing on my recovery, I've enjoyed the benefits of time to sit and reassess my future plans, discussing these with friends, family, and most importantly, my head coach, 2060 Trainer of the Year, HAYE McGuigan." He made that quite clear to put 2016 Trainer of the Year HAYE McGuigan in inverted commas. Shane and I have come to a mutual decision that when I am ready to go back into full training camp, we will no longer be working together as boxer and coach. We will remain good friends and will always metaphorically be in one another's corners, but both parties agreed moving forward we weren't right for each other. I'm deeply indebted to Shane for playing a pivotal role in my comeback today. I will forever be grateful for his hard work and tutelage. I will not be in the position I am today without him. Last Saturday, he once again proved his world-class credentials by leading George Groves to become world champion, something which has evaded George Groves' former corner teams for nearly a decade. I wish Shane, his stable of fighters, and everyone of Cycler Promotions the very best in the future. They are set to have an explosive few months. The Haymaker, David HAYE. And HAYE McGuigan's response is, myself and Mr. David HAYE have mutually decided to part ways. I wish him all the success in his future endeavours. We remain good friends. So there you have it. David HAYE splitting from HAYE McGuigan. The article I'm reading from the Daily Mail. I said there were other articles I could have read across the media universe, but I trusted the Daily Mail faster than the Sun, the Mirror, and Sky Sports. So there you have it. Reaction. Shout out to Charlie Brown Boxing. Hope you're well. Reaction. Well, first and foremost, David HAYE split from HAYE McGuigan. He says he's forever indebted to HAYE McGuigan. Now, again, I'm not going to sit here and slate HAYE McGuigan. He's a good trainer. Okay, he's a good trainer. I like what Cycling Promotions are trying to do. They've recently got on board now Chantel Cameron as well. They've got Carl Frampton, and of course they've got George Groves. I can't say I was overly impressed with George Groves' win over Chudinov. I have to say that strategically, for the first 6 rounds, until George Groves actually knocked Chudinov out or stopped him, George Groves looked off balance at times. He looked a shadow of his former self. And it seemed to me that George Groves' punching power, he just grit in and started like landing big shots and just really went for it. I'm not sure how much that was strategically planned, or that was George just digging in and saying, well, this is my final opportunity. I'm going to hit you with everything I got in the round, in that round, because he didn't look great leading up to the knockout, as I said before. So, you know, I have been highly critical of Shane McGuigan and the left hand being dangled out by the side. I'm always thinking that's a vulnerability of a right hand coming over the top. All his fighters do it. Grover started doing it now. Frampton's doing it, and I hope Shante Cameron doesn't start doing it as well. It's just something you have to dangling the left hand out, down, Barnes dragging along the floor, and you all think to yourself, a good fighter can feint the jab and come over the top of the right hand, and it's a KO waiting to happen. And for me, I always rather having a fight with his hands up. That's just for me personally. That doesn't need to take away Shane McGuigan's achievements. He's done well to get George Groves a world title, where other trainers haven't done it. So give him credit for that. The two fights David HAYE had his comeback with, the Cobra and Mark Demore. No disrespect to Shane McGuigan. I didn't think that McGuigan needed, I don't think HAYE needed McGuigan to get him those two fights. So really looking at the belly fight, the real first fight David HAYE had in a couple of years, and he lost. Now he says the Achilles injury happened in round 6, but it seemed from round 1 David HAYE's balance was all over the place, winging, missing with punches. Although he was ahead of the scorecards in my mind, the injury being in round 6, it looked like he was injured coming into the fight, but we'll never know the truth in that. Well, maybe not until David HAYE releases his autobiography. So inevitably that was going to happen. Maybe back with Booth, maybe, says Jordan. McGuigan is overrated. Well, he's a good trainer. I think in the UK generally we have something that's good. If something's decent, then we make it out to be great and brilliant. So I think he's a good trainer. I don't know how many good trainers we've got in the UK. When we really start scratching the surface and looking behind what they've achieved, there are a lot of name trainers. There are a lot of name trainers in the UK. A lot of name trainers. When I say name, meaning, oh, when you say boxing, UK professional trainers, you'll start spelling off your tongue. But then when you say, well, okay, let's see what they do when their fighters fight at world class at the highest level. Let's see what they're made of. I mean, we just had the other day in America, we had Derek James, who was recently on our channel. He took Errol Spence from an amateur right through now to IBF welterweight champion of the world. I'm not sure how many fighters, how many trainers we've got today that can actually do that, take a person from the amateurs through to the pros and to become a world champion. That, you know, you haven't taken on from another gym. They haven't been already established before they came to your gym. Somebody else has done all the hard work and you're capitalizing it now. No, taking a guy from the grassroots and taking him onto world champion. The first name that comes to mind is Brendan Ingle. That would be the first guy that comes to my mind. I'm not sure there are other trainers out there, but from knee high to world champion, Naz is probably the first that probably comes to my mind. That Brendan Ingle that comes to mind. There's probably loads of others, but that's probably not the point I'm trying to get to. I'm just saying in terms of how we rate trainers today. A good fighter goes to a trainer and a trainer does a little work with them. Does that make that trainer a good trainer? You could say the same for Emmanuel Stewart. A lot of fighters went to Emmanuel Stewart that were already established fighters. In fact, he only accepted fighters that were established fighters. That's why he never fooled around with Woody Harrison. Established trainers, established fighters, and then do what needs to be done to get them that world title again. When they've proven their class, Emmanuel Stewart comes in. Don't get me wrong, Emmanuel Stewart did have good fighters as well, i.e., Thomas Hearns being the big name. So anyway, so I've just said that little spool there to say David HAYE leaving McGuigan. People say it's inevitable. They weren't a good fit, but were they a good fit in the first place? The two fights that David HAYE, as I said, had, I mean, to come back There was supersized David Haye when he fought Demori, and then he lost a little bit more weight against the Cobra, and then he fought Tony Bellew in a fight that I thought David Haye would blow Bellew away in a couple of rounds. That didn't happen. So, okay, is David Haye going to go back to Adam Booth? I'm not sure Adam Booth, from what I remembered of Adam Booth saying, he seemed to, after the Klitschko fight, he seemed to want to distance himself from David Haye after the Klitschko fight. He even said himself, David has a problem getting past the left jab. And the question is, how much has David Haye actually got left? There are a lot of David Haye fans that tend to forget he's not like 30, 31 anymore. And it seems to be this thing about David Haye, he's still a young fighter. It's what he's done outside the gym, the extra curriculum activities outside the gym, in the clubs and in the bars and the celebrity stuff and the lifestyle. Was that all a facade, or has he really been doing that stuff? Has he been having those long nights at partying when he should have been resting his body and in the gym? Are those hard nights outside the gym catching up with David Haye now, when he's trying to have, you know, the tail end of his career, trying to make it the most dazzling and entertaining and taking chances? And had he taken those chances 2-3 years ago before the injuries, and he actually took those fights on, where we'd be talking about David Haye today. He showed a lot of heart in his last fight, sadly, because he was losing. In fact, he showed more heart in that fight against Bellew than he did against Klitschko, to be very honest with you. Now, that being said, people saying he should go back to Adam Booth. I'm not sure what Adam Booth can actually do for David Haye now, because it seems to me he's lost that mobility. So, and Adam Booth's been all about mobility. And I know people are jumping on Adam Booth here. I don't know. What David Haye needs is a trainer who's going to be able to see David Haye's qualities and work with what's left of David Haye. So, and how can he be a quality heavyweight in 2017? We have to forget the John Reyes days. We have to go back and forget the days of when he was knocking out Audrey Harrison. We have to go back from that. We have to forget about his cruiserweight days. And we have to look at David Haye, never mind 2.0, David Haye 2017. A guy who's got a few miles on the clock now, probably more miles than it looks with David Haye. And says he wants to regain his belt back. Well, the only belt he had was the WBA title. So is he alluding to the fact that he's going to be going down the WBA route and trying to challenge there? For me, David Haye, I would like to see him just challenge for the WBA title and retire. I don't see him now being a major force in a heavyweight division unless he gets some serious things right. He's going to come back. He can't come back and have a blowout, a one-round blowout. He's got to come back against a guy who's team tough. I'd like to see him fight Attack'em, for example. Somebody's going to put in some, give him some rounds. A Duhaupas, you know, Marius Vac. Somebody who's going to come back and really test David Haye, see if he really wants to beat around. The rematch with Tony Bellew, possibly. But yeah, he needs to change. He needed to change trainers, in my opinion. And he needs a trainer that's going to be dedicated to him alone. I don't know if Shane McGuigan can have Cameron, Frampton, Groves. David Haye needs a trainer that's going to be dedicated to him. And any trainer David Haye goes to now, that trainer has got to be 100% with David Haye, not David Haye and 3 others in the stable. Oh, we signed David Haye because we've got 4 of the fighters in our gym, and David Haye was a former WBA champion, and it's going to give our gym a good look. You know, I think there's no doubt that when Haye joined McGuigan, it certainly gave their gym an extra boost. Having David Haye in the gym with Carl Frampton, you know, that really gave the gym a boost. And George Groves joining as well, and now Cameron's joined as well. So I think that in that sense is good. So, but for David Haye, he really needs to look at and say, okay, I want to become WBA heavyweight champion of the world. Which trainer can do that for me? At this stage of his career, can he learn any new tricks? You know, is he going to suddenly become better inside fighter? Is he still going to be leaping in? How much speed has been lost? And how many more fights can David Haye have? So these are all question marks that only the haymaker can answer. See people in the room. Interesting, they've split. They were bum buddies. Well, they seem pretty close. They seemed pretty close. The thing is, I don't know when they were trading how much David Haye actually listened to Shane McGuigan. I don't know how much, because the other thing that fascinates me is when these fighters, they're in training camp, they go, we've got a great relationship. You know, we're training well for the fight. Shane showed me some really new things, and I'm really interested. And you're not going to see 2.0. Okay. The training was that good. Why are you so quick to get rid of him, you know, in your first fight? If you want a good fit mix, well, if you want a good fit, what did you not realize that in the first fight? Did you not realize that in your second fight? It took you a third fight for you to get beat to understand he was not good enough for you. You're an experienced fighter. So I don't get this. He's a really good trainer. You heard Aman Khan say as well, oh, Freddie Roach is a top trainer. Oh, you know, he's one of the best trainers in the world. I learned so much under Freddie. And then he leaves Freddie and goes to Virgil Hunter. So is that for the camera? Is that just saying things? Does a trainer become a bad trainer overnight? Well, he's just George Groves has become world champion. Was it the case of now, well, the shoe's on the other foot? When Groves weren't world champion, you know, David Haye could flaunt it. Well, I was world champion and walk into the gym. And now George Groves has suddenly become world champion. David Haye now is no longer, you know, he's not a world champion. He just got beat by Tony Bellew and the shoe's on the other foot. Is that an ego thing as well? You just don't know. I don't know David personally. What I do know of him, when trying to do interviews with him and watching him from a distance, I've noticed that, especially when he, around the time he was doing the George Groves Froch 2 fight, he was very cautious to what to say on camera. You know, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about this. Let's not talk about that. He was very selective who he spoke to and what he spoke about, which is cool, and it's not a problem with that. But I do know that David Haye is very selective of what he says. Carrot juice, sorry, and how he goes about his business. So it'll be interesting. But he definitely needs a trainer that's going to be able to work with him, and it will be interesting. Mr. Sunny B says, happy boxing. David Haye is shit. He see the love for money. He have lost love for boxing. I hope I never see David Haye. Peace out. Who do you think he's going to go with? Who do I think he's going to go with? I don't know. I really don't know. Who would I like to see him go with? Or who he's going to go with? Isn't that more together? I tell you, if he leaves Shane McGuigan to go to Joe Gallagher, I think it's probably a slap in the face. Adam Booth. Well, listen, if he goes to Adam Booth's got a whole load of fighters at his gym at the moment. How does that work out? He seems to be rebuilding nicely, Booth, with a whole load of fighters at his gym. So how does that work out? David Haye wouldn't get numero uno attention with Adam Booth. And why did they split in the first place? Does anybody know? Is this split with McGuigan over money? Is this split with was the split with Booth over money? I mean, surely is David Haye's bank account better now than it was then? I would have thought back then it would have been better than it is now. So if it was a split over money, then is money the issue now? See, to me, it sounds like money the split. If it was me, I'd have him either with Bashir, Ronnie Shields, Tommy Brooks, guys who are experienced at training heavyweight fighters. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Sorry, that's what I'll do. I couldn't have David Haye, and the trainer would have to be dedicated to David Haye, nobody else. The possibility of him cost cutting. A good point. A good possibility of David Haye cost cutting. In other words, money's tight, and I don't need you as my trainer. So if you're going to go Tesco shopping, or when you go for a cheap trainer, who would you pick? Go back to your amateur trainer. Maybe a trainer in Dubai. I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe someone connected that's going to cost. Maybe that'll cost him. It'll cost next to nothing to train him, and they get the benefits of having David Haye as their trainer. But I mean, at 35, who can train David Haye? Who could train David Haye at 35? Or would he be? Was he training himself when he was with Shane McGuigan? That's another thing. How much of McGuigan's input was in David Haye? How much did McGuigan allow Haye? No. How much did McGuigan train David Haye, literally train him and impart his ways? And how much did David Haye allow McGuigan to train him? That's an interesting point. I think he split as well, because when McGuigan threw in the towel, he really hated that. Well, that could be an interesting point, because David Haye talks about his passion. He talks about his passion and wanting to win the world title. And that's a valid point. Maybe the split comes because McGuigan threw the towel in. And David Haye doesn't like the idea of being stopped by Tony Bellew. Maybe that's a point. That's a valid point. Training. If he's cost cutting, then maybe I should train him. Rapid reaction mythology training. Well, Mr. Rapid Reaction Mythology Training, could you tell us a little bit more about you? I'd love to sell your product. Or why not Peter Fury? LOL. Yeah, that would be something. I think would be a lot faster if Peter Fury was training him. I think Peter Fury would finish the career of David Haye off, and I don't mean in the ring, probably outside the ring, for the way that Mr. Fury's up. I tell you what, there are a lot of people who are saying good, glad, happy to see David Haye get beat by Tony Bellew. About time his big mouth got shut. There are a lot of people out there that haven't forgiven David Haye for what he did with Tyson Fury, and rightly so, I guess. You know, there are a lot of people that don't like David Haye because of that, and they don't like David Haye because of all the antics he did with Tony Bellew. So they were quite happy about that. You know, but I don't know. If you look at trainers today, who would you have as a trainer? I'd like to see David Haye with an experienced trainer, no young trainer. I want to see him with a young trainer, an older trainer. You know, an older trainer that can add a bit of wisdom to him. But it's how much is left in him. I don't know. How do you know Shane McGuigan may say to him, you know what, David, I think you've done some, and I don't think you've got it anymore. That could be the conversation. Adam Booth may have the conversation that, David, I think you're done, mate. You look in the heavyweight landscape, you're done. Maybe McGuigan found out about the injury that David's got, and David's not telling the world that he's got an injury that's a little more serious. I don't know. You just don't know. You don't know. I would like to know, see the medical report of David Haye before he got in the ring and fought Tony Bellew. That's what I'd like to know. That's what I'd really like to know, whether he was fully fit going into that Bellew fight. Benjamin Franklin asks, do you think Haye can fight on top level if he recovers? Well, it's not just a recovery. It's not just a recovery physically, emotionally. You got beat by Tony Bellew. There's no disrespect. You got beat by Tony Bellew, a guy that you said you were going to knock over in a few rounds, that you convinced the whole world you were going to get knocked over in a few rounds. You told everybody this was David Haye 2.0. This was maybe upgrade. We were going to see better things of David Haye now than we did when he was under Adam Booth. So it's not the physical scars alone. It's the mental scars. It's the humiliation. You know, he's had humiliation all the way back. Let's remember, from Toegate. So we've had Toegate. And now we've got Anklegate with Tony Bellew. So, I mean, the pull-out jokes. He pulled out twice on Tyson Fury. You had the pull-out of Vitaly Klitschko. We had a bad back. You had the pull-out against Shah. Do you mean? And you had toe gate. Now you've got Achilles gate. I mean, what next? Or what next? I mean, broadcasters. Sky may have David Haye back again after that fight against Bellew, but he can't go backwards. He can't fight Bellew, then go back and fight Billy Blowblocks for, you know, and knock him out of the round. He's got to fight somebody in the top 10 or around the top 10. The Shannon Briggs fight. I mean, now Shannon Briggs, we probably won't see Shannon Briggs again after the old PED thing. So Shannon's out of the way. A fight against him and Lucas Brown would be a good fight. Can he perform at top level? I don't know. I don't know anymore. I don't know how much is left of David Haye. Nicky Boy 27 says Haye got maybe one, maybe two fights left. He probably feels confident against any rematch with Bellew and then possibly a Wilder or Joshua as cash out last fight. It's down to money and only money as to why he left McGuigan. He's learned all the latest nutrition science and techniques. Pulev's a good fight, I think. That's a very valid point there as well. He might David Haye has learned the stuff under Shane McGuigan. It's 3 fights, so he's learned all the latest techniques. And but I have to say, Frampton got beat convincingly by Santa Cruz, which I predicted. David Haye got stopped by Tony Bellew in a fight he was expected to win. And George Groves, in my mind, didn't look that impressive against Chudnoff. Now we're back again with O'Hara Davis and Josh Taylor. So we're going to see what happens there. Money, cost cutting, yes, maybe, because David Haye is a shrewd businessman for sure. He's a shrewd businessman. Well, it gives the impression he's shrewd. I have my own YouTube channel, BWTM. I train all levels of fighters. I'm a coach from Huddleston Boxing Club. I was just kidding, bruv. Okay, that's nice to know. That's very nice to know. Shouldn't kid about stuff like that, bro. You shouldn't kid about things like that. I mean, you know, Mark DeMore learnt his boxing off of YouTube. He never thought he'd be in a ring with David Haye. Got knocked out unconscious by David Haye, but his claim to fame was he fought David Haye. Hey. Huddleston Boxing Club. Why does that sound familiar? Huddleston Boxing Club. It sounds familiar. Ingram, have you been watching the Champions Trophy? I know you like that. Yeah, I do like. No, I don't watch it that much. I haven't watched it. I've gone off the sport for a while. Political reasons. One day I'll tell you. David Haye trainer, if made TMT money. Yeah, that's something, eh? That'd be something. So there you have it. For those tuning in as well, Dave Allen will be back fighting, I believe, June the 15th or June the 17th. Dave Allen will be back fighting on a small hall show. So yeah, he's back in action, Dave Allen, June 17th. Adonis Stevenson is fighting Fonfara for the second time tonight, I believe. You know, I'm going to say something that might be slightly controversial here. I still believe in the theory, the man that beat the man who beat the man is the man, okay? When it comes to Adonis Stevenson, I was a huge supporter of Adonis Stevenson, the way he went out, knocked out Dawson, and has a huge, really good knockout ratio. But he's now fighting Fonfara again. Adonis Stevenson has done a complete U-turn. He was like a star in boxing, and then he's kind of like gone down and kind of like undone all the good work he did. He's fighting Fonfara again in a fight that he should win, but I like to see Adonis Stevenson in the big fights, the big fights. Fonfara got splattered by the other day by Joe Smith. I would like to see Adonis Stevenson fight Joe Smith. That fight makes sense. That's what boxing fans want to see. Not him in a rematch against Fonfara, who got splattered by Joe Smith. Joe Smith's the guy who should be fighting. That's the guy who should be fighting. Not Fonfara. I'm sorry. So I don't support what he's doing tonight. And if Fonfara beat him tonight, good. Sorry, just truth being said there. Lucas Brown won his comeback yesterday. Congratulations to Lucas Brown. Fantastic for him. HAYE versus Stavern, mate. No, I don't think that's going to happen. Stavern is he's on that training with preparing for Wilder, so he's still training. As soon as I get some videos for you, I will upload them for you. But he's training like a beast every day. Is there anything I should talk about? Let me come to the end of. Have you seen Boxrec Egerton ahead of Brook? LOL. Brook needs to sit his ass down and retire. That's, in my personal opinion, I think Brook needs to retire. Injured one side of the face, injured the other side of the face. Mental scarring. Brook needs to give it a rest. I don't know how much he's got left as a fighter. Yeah, possibly he could fight the Khan fight. If I'm going to take one more fight as Brook, I fight Amir Khan. But how much has he got left? You know, 2 damaging fights. And you don't know how much to. I mean, that Spence fight lasted longer than the Golovkin fight, but that was more of a systematic. That was a systematic beating down over a 11-round period, as opposed to Golovkin, where the referee, where he was stopped from getting the systematic beating from the towel being thrown in. So I think now once you get the towel thrown in you first time, then you quit yourself. Once you start going down that pathway, I think then if you quit once, you'll quit again. And the only thing, you know, that hasn't happened with Kell Brook is he's quit in the corner. That's the next thing to happen. So, I mean, you quit or supposedly quit in front of your home fans. I don't know. It's tough because you have to be careful with the words quit here, because I don't know Kell Brook. I don't know what was going on visually with his eye, because it was the other eye. Now, psychologically, having one eye and being unable to see out of one eye, and then damage on the other side of the eye. Now, I don't know what was going on mentally, emotionally with Kell Brook. So it's gonna be interesting to see whether he makes a comeback or not, and if he does, who he fights. Ingram, was Brook prior to GG fighter a padded hype job? I wouldn't say it was a padded hype job. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say it. He was a good fighter. He was a ruined fighter when they took the Gennady Golovkin fight, just for money. That's all it was. Money is why they took the Golovkin fight, and ultimately that ruined Kell Brook's career. Who you got, Ward or Kovalev, and who you think won the first fight? I thought Ward won the first fight, and Ward will win the second fight. I think a lot of people wanted Kovalev to win the fight. Some people wanted to win the Kovalev fight because, well, there are political reasons as to why people wanted Kovalev to win that fight. Now, for me, I thought Ward won the fight. I thought Ward, the second half of the fight, he took over. And I think if you're going to be, you know, I think Kovalev allowed Ward back into that fight. After he dropped Ward, he started trying out a box with Ward. He's not a better boxer than Ward. He'll never be a better boxer than Ward. And Ward took the fight, worked the body. Kovalev slowed down, and that's where Ward took over the fight for me. So it was a close fight. I had Ward winning by a round or two, but everyone scores it differently. I'm going Ward in a rematch. I think he wins the fight easier in the rematch. Between the last fight and this fight, Kovalev's changed trainers. He now thinks he's got a Russian trainer. I'm going to do a preview on it anyway. and I probably will do a preview video on this some point shortly. But I'm going with Ward on rematch. I just don't think by you changing and getting he's got Jackson in the corner, he's got his Russian guy in the corner. I really don't think that is going to make his training camp any better. Personally, I think Ward is going to beat Kovalev again. I really do. Right. That's me. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And also check out our other channels, BWTM Gaming. You can watch us live gaming, and check out BWTM, our entertainment and news channel. We've just previewed 3 new movies coming out. So check it out. This has been Ingram Jones from BWTM. We are out. Thank you all for watching. Take care.